Majorly when they get to listen to the audios that we are recording here and we supply to all the students to see that they can this because this person here has access, is good in computing. So he's able to see that he can supply this audio to other people and receive this audio, receive the audios that we've taken here. So
Excellent.
that is also quite good. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically that is what I can say.
that's good. I mean, yeah, Stuart, are you like on various different platforms? Are you on like sort of TikTok or Instagram and those sorts of platforms?
I'm on Facebook, Telegram, Instagram, and Twitter.
And Twitter. Okay, cool. And do you use those quite a lot? I mean, do you have quite a few friends and followers on Twitter and that sort of stuff?
Yeah,
Awesome. So
mostly Facebook,
mostly Facebook, yeah. Okay.
Telegram, and Instagram.
Cool, cool. So yeah, I mean that's where, on Facebook, before the pandemic started, I was hardly using Facebook at all. And then on over the course of that pandemic, that's when I kind of got on there. And so I have only sort of got like about, I think I've probably got 450 friends on there, but I know I do come across people with like literally 4,000 friends. I don't, Wanderer, you probably got quite a few as well, haven't you? But but again, when you have loads of friends, quite often you don't necessarily have a very strong connection with those people. What I've been doing though over the last couple of years is strengthening my connection with people. Some of those people I was sharing information over the last 2 years with, just things that I was exploring and discovering, and but it was mainly just via messages, just sharing videos and that sort of stuff. But what I've done is I've actually actively, because I'm a strong communicator, and I've got, I'm quite confident in that, as you know. I basically like would go onto Messenger and I would leave voice messages, voice memos, to some of the people like that I wanted to talk to them about something like a project, or even encourage them if I've been sharing a bit of information with them for quite a while but never actually had a conversation with them. I would actually openly just say, look, I'd love to connect with you on another level, maybe have a phone call or a Zoom. And certainly if I've shared something with them, like with GPMS recently, I've had a lot of success with people seeing it and saying, yeah, this looks really, really interesting. Yeah, I want to know more. And then being open to actually having a Zoom, but there are some people that are, a bit reluctant to do that because some people just don't have much confidence in themselves. The problem is that we also find on Facebook, and probably a lot of these other platforms, a lot of the people that you think are people, they're not. They're actually bots, right?
Yeah,
That have been created. And so one of the things I've even said to people on the voice memo is that, look, we've been sharing information for a long time. I would love to meet the human being behind your profile. And I recognize that, and you probably recognize as well, that not everybody we think is human on here is actually human. So I'd love to establish that you are a human, even if you can just
yeah,
give me a voice memo just to say hi and respond. That would be great, because I don't really want to waste my time with what I think is a human when they're not, you know. And actually, that's often given some people then a little bit of a kick up the arse to then, say hi and then actually take it forward. So there's certain techniques that I've discovered with Facebook as well over the course of time on how to actually share information, but do it in a more successful way. Because when you just send people stuff, unless it's kind of relevant, unless you make it relevant, and unless you make it personal, you don't tend to necessarily get engagement. And it's all about the engagement. So, I mean, you probably, do you know a bit about that, about engaging with people? Are you getting much engagement with what you share on Facebook and what have you?
yeah, not so much.
Not so much, yeah. Well, again, so I can maybe impart some, I can share with you some of my messages that I've sent with other people. But where I've connected with, what we're finding, online, I mean, most of the people you're connected to online, are they people that are quite local to you, or are they very broad across the world or across Africa and different countries in Africa? Where would you say most people are that you're connecting with and you have engagement, if any, with people on Facebook or Twitter
Most are within Africa.
within Africa? But then you've got, so obviously there's different approaches, there's different ways to go about. We've got our immediate, people around us. Of course, you can leverage your relationships with those people much more easily. They're going to give you more time because you know them and they kind of respect you and they understand you, like they know you. There's other people you meet in your day to day, that you might not normally have spoken to. You wouldn't necessarily normally start a conversation with them, but then what missionaries do, or what people who are on a mission do, as you know, is that they start to speak to everyone really, where they see that they can, where they're kind of guided to do it, and I do the same on Facebook with groups. So where I'm in certain groups, like spiritual groups, like not necessarily religious groups, not like Christian or Muslim groups necessarily. I have connected in those, but I find those actually quite hard to get engagement with people because they're very much wanting to just share, certain texts from the Bible and stuff like that. And there is probably an opportunity to actually engage with people in those, but I haven't sort of really done much with that yet. But there's spiritual groups where people are kind of very spiritual. They're not religious, but they believe in, prime creator. They're not identifying to a specific religion, but they do know that obviously we are connected with prime creator and with consciousness, with the universe, whatever they see God as. There is only one prime creator, obviously. Are you actually religious, Stuart, as well? Are you a religious or not really?
Yeah, I'm religious.
You are religious, yeah? So, yeah, I mean, I basically was a Christian growing up, and obviously I've always had a connection with God, but like I've had quite an interesting journey, throughout my life. My father as well was, a strong Christian. He used to pray every night. And where I've grown up, in the environment I've grown up in, and most of the schools I went to, there wasn't strong faith within those people. And it wasn't regarded as like a cool thing to be religious. So obviously when I was actually young, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a problem. I was like kind of going to church and stuff. And then I had friends in church, but then I kind of, as I went to one of the schools, I kind of, for a while, I didn't really go to church, but I still had a connection with God. I still, if I needed help, I would do internal prayers, and with belief that those prayers would be answered. And then I would always have that support. And then over the course of the last sort of 15 years, I've had a lot of experiences which have kind of really confirmed for me, the connection that we do have with God. And my perspective has broadened in terms of that connection and everything else. So, but yeah, it's exciting times. We're in the most glorious times, brother. And although things are really tough, and for a lot of people they're seemingly worried about what the future holds, we've really got this ability now to create something beautiful, and we're going to do it in a big way, and it's just going to happen, and it can happen very quickly. Yeah. I reckon probably when we get to about 200,000 agreements of this worldwide, then that's when the numbers will start to grow, because within that 200,000 we may have quite a large number of people that are sharing it on a daily basis with more and more people, and then more people will get confidence and they'll just start sort of getting on board. So
yes, so this where I am, I've traveled the 80 kilometers from where I stay. Yes, to travel to come to this place, and this is where this university is located. It's located in the major city of the country. There are actually two universities. I have chance that I have friends over there. This is the first university, and this is the major university. Awesome. Then the second one is called Chambogo University. You have to search about it. Also have one friend over there, so I was planning to see that I can meet him tomorrow.
Cool.
I see we can also speak to him as well, to see we can get in touch with these two people to help us to play this system so fast.
Yeah.
So this is the first person here, and God is good in computing, and as well is in the biggest university, and is capable to speak to a big population. Yeah. Therefore, we are thankful for that. And tomorrow, God willing, I'm planning to meet the other person who is in the other sister university, the second university, which is Chambogo University, to see we can get in touch. And I leave good information with them, and even the transcripts that you sent, I want to see where I can print them out so I can leave full information with them. And even communicate to a few people I'll get a chance to communicate to, because I traveled today morning. I had things to do. I was clearing the other land. The one I think I sent you a video you saw when I was clearing that land where we are planning to see. we can plant more crops.
Mm.
Because we got an instance whereby here in Uganda, most Africa, but most in Uganda, we are affected by rainfall.
Okay.
So the crops that I showed you in the other video that were in the orphanage garden were swept away by the running water. Therefore, we got a loss.
Oh no,
So it
man.
is unfortunate to tell you about that. So I was trying to see I can clear another land where I can set more crops. I think I sent some video when I was clearing that land.
Was there a lot of
So
water? So how much water was there? Was it like what that swept that away? How much water was it like? Was it
I would,
flooding? Was it
yeah,
very,
flooding, actual
yeah?
flooding. I have to send you immediately when we complete this Zoom call. I'll have to send you the videos of how much was that, because even other people went, almost 24 people lost life in that running water.
How
24
many?
people lost. Yeah,
Four people.
24 people.
24.
24.
Oh,
Yes. I
so
will I'll drop you the video so you can have a look at that. Yeah, I've tried to share one video just recently. I think you'll have to see that. I shared one video recently. So very early in the morning, I was trying to see I can clear and to see we can set more crops, because the others that I showed you in the other video, when they were in the orphanage garden, were already swept away. So now currently we are still having that challenge. I'm looking forward to again replant. So
mm,
that is the big challenge right here. But as well, I'm hopefully, actually hopefully tomorrow I will see that I can meet the other person in the other university, so we can at least make a Zoom call of 40 minutes. You can also speak to him, so we can leave good information behind, and these people can help us play this system so fast.
yeah, definitely, yeah. Because
So then the following day after tomorrow, I will have to board again 80 kilometers. I go back to where I've come from, so I can meet the students, the other orphans in the orphanage. So that is my plan. I will have to sit with this brother you've just spoken with. We set a strategy to see how he's going to keep communicating to these people.
mm,
It is good that he's able to use computer and even communicate to other people. So it will be easier for him to see that he can communicate to others he cannot meet personally.
mm. I would say, yeah, in an ideal
So
world. Sorry,
you
go on.
see, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you've frozen there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that is how far we are.
okay. I was going to say, I mean, the way that other people in GPMS, like Rick and others, are kind of spreading the word. A lot of them are kind of, again, they're doing it, with people that they meet. Some of them are doing posts on Facebook, and that's how they're connecting people. They're reaching out to people that way. In your part of the world, and just with the way that you can reach a lot of people through your universities and things like that, what might be quite a good approach is to sort of, possibly, I don't know how people would feel about this, is that in kind of treating it almost like a kind of how people are kind of building teams in that business that I was talking about with my platform, My Dramas. What you do is you're empowering each one that you connect with to become, to improve their own sort of, their own to improve their self development, their confidence, and being able to actually share a message and become a real leader, if you like. You know, now, it doesn't mean that everybody needs to become a leader, but in that business, obviously, ideally, you want everybody to be a leader, and then you'd grow a huge team of hundreds of thousands or millions of people that way. But certainly, if there's some key people that are strong leaders, that are strong speakers, or that are confident, that can learn what they need to about GPMS and about how we're delivering our message, that they can easily then organize little groups of people on a fairly regular basis, whether it's maybe once a week or even at least once every 2 weeks, to come together in a gathering where you can talk to them, or they can do more remote meetings on Zoom, and they can actually just do a presentation on Zoom to a group of people. So again, you're giving them like a general sort of gist, an overview of the GPMS platform and what we're doing, and then you leave them the transcript. That might actually be quite a good strategy, and one that can then also be duplicated. So from within these groups of people that are coming and learning about it that way, some of those people will become, again, leaders that would also then be able to go, because they've got quite a few connections and they know that they can speak to a lot of people. And if we do it like that, you can get that exponential growth much more quickly within your local areas and across Africa or across Uganda, but then obviously into the surrounding countries as well, and it can grow that way. So that might suit some people, it might not suit others. Obviously, we don't want to make it sound like it's a business, because it's not. But it's, but I think this is where a lot of the success has been in Thailand, where they've got the numbers there, is that there's been like maybe 30 people that have been actually quite strong leaders there, that have gone round to the schools, that have gone round to the farms. So again, speaking to farmers, as well, could be a good way to kind of branch out, because they're already supplying a lot of goods, to the communities around them, possibly, right? And so again, but they're struggling with, what you've mentioned about, the flooding and what have you, but also not having equipment that makes their job harder. And so with farmers, obviously what GPMS is going to be delivering for those people that are in farming, that are so vital, is obviously equipment that makes their job a lot easier. It makes their job so much easier when you've got tractors and you've got, machinery that does a lot of the manual work for you. And that will actually be very uplifting for them to know that what they're doing now with the physical work won't be indefinitely. When GPMS comes, their life will become much easier. And so they'll be excited about that. And then they can actually speak to the communities that they're supplying food to, who maybe they have a bit of a relationship with, to say, look, this is going to help the country, this is going to help, and this is going to help us be able to be better producers. And then in the end, the food that's supplied won't be costing anybody anything. It's not going to cost anybody anything when we bring GPMS into implementation. But for now, it's already uplifting people, making them feel, okay, great, there's a future here. And of course, the other projects that I'm working on, we have to see how those go. But that might also be able to be something that can help people in the short term. But yeah, for now, that sounds great what you're saying. The universities that you're connected with, the people that you've got there, you only need a few people to get this, and then spread it, and then it can grow massively.
So yeah, what my strategy was that if at least in every city, for example, let me say Kampala, Jinja, Mbale, that I could at least connect with someone I know as a friend, because I'm not getting these people that I don't know them.
Yeah.
I'm getting these people and they are doing it as charity work.
Yeah.
And it is good that they are friends of mine.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm trying to see that at least I can get a representative, not actually, because we are not making business, we are doing this as charity.
Yes.
So when I explain to someone and is willing to do this as charity, because I tell them there is nothing to give as a salary. This is charity work, to at least we can save the whole world. Therefore, my strategy was that I could get a representative from every city, say Kampala, say Jinja, Mbale. And then get to the institutions, so I can get one person from maybe, let me say, in Makerere or Chambogo, then even get back to the local leaders. I get one person from every local council, maybe let me say LC1, LC2, so something like that. So that is what I'm planning. I'm planning to oversee these three bodies. Look at the local government, and then look at the institutions, and then as well look at the cities. So that is what I'm planning. So far, I'm on the part of institutions, so I can get friends from different institutions. Then as I get to cities, so at least we can, when we are doing a meeting, let me say a weekly meeting after every 5 days, I can connect with these people via Zoom. We discuss and see how far we've moved.
Yes.
And that would be quite good, because it will be difficult for me to actually move the distance, maybe say from Jinja where I stay, and then get back to Kampala. At least it would be better that if there is a representative over there. When we've moved a week, maybe say 6 days, and then the 7th day, we get together and make a Zoom call, discuss on how far we've moved with this system. So that is what I'm trying to set, as well as I'm also struggling with the other situation, but I should set time for this major issue here. Okay. So that is my strategy, and that is my plan. That is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I was just going to say, I mean, just to make your life a bit easier, if it is possible, with some of the people that you are knowing or you're connected to, maybe in these different cities, if you basically maybe, I mean, firstly, you don't necessarily need to print out that transcript, because you've got it on email. or you can send it to yourself. I can send it to you on your email. It may be easier for anybody that's got access to email to be able to read it from there, because then it saves you money on printing, because that's a lot of pages. That's probably, I don't know how many pages. If you're printing that, it's going to cost you a bit of money. So if you email people, and you can email people, that would be one thing to do. And then we could actually host, between you and me, we could actually host regular Zoom meetings where you can send that information to people, and then with an invite to say, look, we would love you to connect with us on a Zoom, so that you can then, start learning more about what we're doing and our strategy. And then you can obviously start to share that strategy with other people and start being involved in it that way. That way it makes it, the key thing is to make it as simple and as easy for everybody to duplicate it. So again, if you're traveling around, you're doing an amazing work doing that. And obviously you would, if you do that, you would have opportunity to speak to other people on your journey. But of course, it is taking time, it's costing you money to do that. So in some respects, you need to obviously, again, still be able to maximize your time and keep your cost as minimal as possible. So that's up to you. You make the decision on how you go about it. You might mix it up that way, but we could do a regular call for sure. If you want to try that out. Again, it does depend on those people's ability to go through the Zoom process if they've not done it before. So it depends on your relationship with them. If you've got quite a good relationship with them, maybe you can obviously take them through that process, do a Zoom with them. So, I want you to do a Zoom with me. I've started to use this technology and it's great, it's useful, and I want to share some information with you and share with you this amazing project. And then you can then, before even talking to them about the project, just get them using Zoom with you. And then you can then basically say, right, now you've got used to this, I want to share some information with you. And then I would like you to join a Zoom with some of the people that I'm connected to that are obviously creating this new system, which we would love you to help us on, because this is going to obviously solve the problems of the world, sort of thing, right? And that might be a way to do it. The other thing when you're connecting with people, obviously it's having that structure of what people do once they've received the information, once they get it, once they like it and they want to move forward with it. So obviously, first and foremost, they give their agreement, obviously through the website. They've got to do that. And that's a good process for them to do, even with your help if need be, but also just doing it for themselves, at least with their own signature, which they obviously do with the heart or whatever. Getting them to actually join with the contributors page. So, obviously where there's the page on the website, which is how to get involved. People click on that and then they fill out that form. I think you filled it out already, which basically just says, you might not necessarily get them to go through that process. They don't need to do that. But what we do really want is to try and unite everybody with everyone in GPMS as much as possible. Not that we're all going to be connecting with everybody, each of us with everyone, but just bringing them into the fold a little bit with the group of people in different ways, obviously is going to be more powerful. But even if you have a conversation with people like, okay, so now you get this and you're happy to do the charitable work of spreading this word, how much time do you think that you might be willing to give to this, in terms of your own time, 1, 2, 3 hours a week, 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week. It's good to have that conversation. It's no pressure. They can choose exactly how much time they put in. And even if they say 5 or 10 hours or 20 hours a week, and then they only do 2, that's all good. But it kind of already shows them a kind of process of when they speak to people, that's quite a good conversation to have, because it kind of makes it more palpable, sort of more tangible, like this is actually what we're doing. It's not just about giving you a voice and agreement. It is really about sharing it. And obviously the more we do that, the quicker it gets done, and then everybody's happy, so I don't know about that. Have you thought about that yourself?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Cool. So
that is how far brother has gone. So
yeah, that's good, mate. I'm really obviously proud, obviously, to hear that obviously that you've obviously gone there and you've taken the time and effort, and you're bearing obviously that kind of time and cost, etc., to do that. That's great. I'm sorry to hear about all the flooding, man.
I'll have to forward the videos to you, then you can have a look at them. So brother, did you receive the other letter I sent through email? Then that they had gone directed to your spam?
The other proposal, yeah. So I've read through that. So yeah, it's basically the same as the other one, right? But it's just on the paper with a logo, pretty much. Was there anything extra on there that because I read through both, but I haven't kind of compared them, but they look more or less the same. Is that right? It's just the logo.
They are the same. Just that when I was forwarding the other one through Messenger, there was changes. So I
Okay.
had to I had to actually turn to email, use email, then forward so that you can receive it in the PDF.
Okay. There's a
Yeah, it
couple of
is the
things.
same. Yeah, it is the same thing.
A couple of things just to mention on there. There's probably a couple of typos I noticed. One is where you said something was bond to fail, but it's bound to fail. So you're talking about something which is bound to fail. So it's BOUND, not BOND. So you put
Yeah.
bond to fail. So that just that's a typing error probably more than anything else. So just change that if you can. And also where you actually did the total in terms of the actual costing that you worked out for everything. The total that you put was something like, I think you worked out the total of about, it was $5,000 or something as a total. But the amount in terms of Ugandan shillings, you only put as about 1.9 million, whereas actually it's more like 19 million. I think you missed out a digit. So you want to make that marry up. Because I obviously I noticed that purely because obviously I knew when I paid the $250, it was like a million shillings or whatever. So I knew that 2 million shillings, which is what basically is saying, was only going to be $500. So I thought, okay, there's obviously a miscalculation there. So yeah, so you want to change that, so that parries up. Other than that, I mean, it's obviously very. Did you write all that yourself? Did you have any help with that, or did you get some information about that elsewhere, or was that all your kind of your?
Yeah, it was my only information. I tried typing, then I made some research. I will send you one video. I went personal. I made a search asked from there is one company, actually it is a firm that does poultry. Yeah,
Okay.
so I went also researched about that. Since this was my project long ago, I had ideas about it, and I've been actually writing about it. So I just compared the information I've been writing from different pages together, so I can even total up, get what is needed, and see
Okay.
that I can come up with that.
What would be quite good to add into that as well, if you wanted to, if you've got time to do it ever. It's not essential, but sometimes some images might be useful. So if you could get images of other, farms and what have you that are maybe similar, and you
Yeah,
actually
yes.
that helps people have more, because some people don't have much of an imagination. But I mean, the information you've got there is actually, is great. But if you had some images there, it kind of gives it a bit more interesting because they can look at something. So that's quite good. The other thing is in light of the flooding, I would say now, as a security measure, to incorporate into the proposal is to basically maybe think about creating, when, obviously, albeit that we can get funding if we can do it, is to create the facility for the hens to be above the kind of level of what flooding might be, so that they don't get flushed out and killed in a flood like that, because that would happen, and that has happened. The flooding that you've had last year. There was basically extreme flooding in many countries across Europe and in China. There was imagery of livestock, pigs, cows that had obviously drowned because of this torrential kind of flooding that suddenly occurred. Now, it could be to do with climate change. It could be to do with whether that's a natural climate change phenomena or something that's going on because of the spraying that they're doing. That might be something to do with it. But going forward, obviously, it's good to anticipate that there might be more flooding of that kind, and you want to basically maybe take some measures about your investment into the life. Because obviously, if you get the 300 hens and then it gets wiped out, you're back to square one. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, how easy that is to do, I don't know, because obviously, that it would make it a little bit more complex in terms of creating a hen house, which has got like a level which is high enough for the hens to be safe. But it would be something that other people haven't even thought about. So obviously, again, it shows initiative, you know, because obviously, again, and if you could actually maybe with the videos that you've got of the flooding, the recent flooding, you could include that in the proposal to show, look, this is what happened just in August 2022. We know that basically this could be a phenomenon that occurs again and again, and so we obviously have now implemented this into our proposal as a measure to obviously protect our investment that we get to obviously create this. That would be obviously a great thing. I think I would imagine the other farmers that are doing this might be having the same idea now because they must have lost stock.
Yeah, some, because you know, like the cost of making actually the cost of building these houses differs. Sometimes you would love to build this that is quite beautiful and it is in favor of these ends not to be affected by the flooding. But just when you look at that, its concept for its cost is a bit higher. So when I was making the budget, I was looking at an average and looking at maybe a saving a cost a lot, looking at the lowest cost of everything. So I looked at the cost of construction to the lowest place of constructing the house for the ends. Then I was trying to say I can get the average, not to the maximum. Yeah, but I'll look into that to see
It
we
could be
can
something that actually, I mean, again, I mean, I'm kind of a bit just coming up with an idea that might not even be working, but a workable
yeah,
idea.
it is good.
But with the flooding, when that actually occurred, did you witness that? Like, did you see how that occurred? Did you see? Was it purely from the downpour of rain that the water just rose, or did you actually
Yeah,
have? Did you have like a sudden river of water coming? How did
I've
it
just
occur?
I've just dropped some videos over there. You can try to see. There are videos I've just dropped. You can try to check it there.
Yeah, because you can have like, you know, where there's water, you know, the banks which holds the water can burst, and then you have like floods of water come from there, or you have the water raising because there's not enough drainage, you know, to deal with the torrential rain, and then the water just rises up. If the water's just rising up, what you can have in your hen house is like a platform that's basically like a floatable platform. So you can have you could have posts almost that basically hold the platform in, you know, in place. Yeah. But when the water rises, the platform rises, so all of the hens are safe. Do you see what I mean? That might actually be a very good way of actually dealing with it. So if there's no rain, there's no problem. But if the rain comes, then it just floats, but it doesn't get flushed away because it's got strong posts that will hold even a flow or a current of water. If there's any current that comes with it, then it would be strong enough to hold in place, and then it just raises up, so it's just floating on that. And then when the water does drain, it just goes down again, and the hens are safe. I mean, that's a really novel idea that I've just come to. But
it is actually very good. I've tried to drop some picture over there. Maybe you can try to see.
If we design something like that, if you design something like that, Wandera, you could actually.
Yeah, it is over there. Yeah, it is over there. You can try to check. I've just sent it now. You can try to check there.
Let me just have a quick look. We've only got 4 minutes. Okay, yeah. Wow. Wow. Have you got a river near you?
Brother, it is not river near.
There's no river near you?
No, flooding water.
Just literally rainfall and then it just rose.
Yes. And that is how people have been affected, honestly. Now people who were there are now homeless. They don't have where to stay. I think you can see.
Let me just tell you that the United Nations have a Agenda 2030. So their agenda is to, by 2030, to have really to be very far in with their implementation of an agenda. And I think that part of their plan to cause people in rural areas to have to be relocated into cities and to create city bubbles is they're causing this problem. So they're doing stuff deliberately with the weather to create flooding, to cause a relocation of people to other areas. Because what they have in their plan, in their agenda, is they kind of see that delivering food and healthcare and essential goods to people in rural areas, it requires the use of a lot of fossil fuel and carbon, to do that, where people are located in very rural areas. So their plan is to combat that, is to get everybody to move out of rural areas and into big bubbles where everything can be, distributed, healthcare, education, food, all the resources that you need might be farmed elsewhere, but then actually people, generally the populations, will be in these city bubbles. It makes sense in a lot of respects in terms of cutting out unnecessary, waste. But it's wrong that they have this agenda. If that's what they're doing, it's killing people in the process. It's taking people's freedom to choose where they want to be away and all of that stuff, But flooding is something that's always happened, hasn't it? Through through the millennia, there's always been these torrential waters and floods anyway. So, that might not be the case, but yeah, that's bad, man. This is the sort of thing that was going across, last year. We haven't had any water, really, any rainfall for the last 2 months. And I guarantee you, we're going to start seeing some of this kind of flooding over here in the UK. Last year, we had some bad floods in July, So let's have a look at the other one. We've only got a minute.
Yeah, then there is, maybe you can have a look at the structure of the house I've just sent over there, the last one.
Yeah.
So that vehicle you see over there was also swept away.
Wow. Look.
That is the number I told you. They were 24 in number. So they all lost life.
All of these ponds. These
yes,
people.
You're going to have a look at that. Yes, have a look at that until the end. So they were trying to close. They were trying to close to see they can get to the other part. Unfortunately, it was difficult for them to reach, and they all lost lives. So you can even try to go and Google about this. They will give you information, and they will give you the number of all those people.